Hello, everybody. Today's installment of Things That Interest Me is going to be talking about what I think makes the best EDC. What's the best EDC gun you can carry, assuming you're in a state that allows, lawful concealed carry or open carry, I guess, for that matter. And a lot of people I think tend to look at, well, what caliber should I pick? What's the most powerful caliber? Or, how many rounds can I get? Can I have a 17, 18 round mag? And all those things, I guess, are important depending on the situation. My philosophy is a little bit different. Let's just get out of the way. There is no one size fits all carry gun. It just isn't. Different people have different size hands, some people have arthritis, some people don't, some people have good eyesight, some people don't, some people are tolerant to recoil and have lots of shooting experience and don't mind it. Others are very sensitive to it, and because of that, they won't practice as much with it. So, there's a lot of different factors. And even down to the same person, once you know you and your shooting style and what you like, I have different carry guns based on how I dress, where I'm going that day. There's no one go-to gun. Just like there's no one go-to knife. If I'm going to be outdoors where I think I'm going to need more tools, I'm going to carry a Swiss Army knife from my rookie LD21. It's got a couple basic tools. Victorinox, Explorer, or not Explorer, the Adventurer, something like that. I don't do a lot of camping, but if I was, I'm probably going to have a smaller, more utilitarian kind of a straight, fixed blade, along with a Swiss Army knife or something. On a day-to-day basis, more often than not, I'm carrying this, the Delica, or I'm carrying the Pyrite from CJRB, or a Benchmade bug out. It's one of those three. Why? Because they're just different flavors, different styles of the same overall small two-ish ounce knife with a locking blade, single hand opening, things like that. So. But if I'm camping or I'm going, somewhere else, like if I have to go super discreet, I'm going to grab the Dragonfly that's half the size of that. So same thing goes with guns, right? You have different guns for different purposes. And even with carry guns, it's like, if I'm going to some place where I'm like, you know what? I'm going to a dangerous place. The chances of being in an altercation are higher. I don't really want to be in that situation, but I have to go. Then I'll carry the bigger one. This is a Glock 19 equivalent. This is the Shadow Systems MR920 Combat. Got a nice fluted barrel. Not going to rack the slide or do anything here because this one is loaded and chambered. So we're going to put that back in the holster. Always observing safety. But, that's a fairly heavy gun. And I did bring out the scale here because we're going to talk about size, because size matters, but also weight and things like that. So let's go ahead and zero that out. And I don't know what we're on ounces or grams, but that gun loaded is 2¼ pounds. 2¼ pounds. So that's what? How many ounces? That's 36 ounces with 18 rounds of ammo. Now, a bunch of that weight is going to be the holster. So if we take some of the weight's going to be the holster. So now we're down to just under 2 pounds. So this is several ounces. All the rounds of ammo. Just the loaded magazine alone is 8¾ ounces, is more than ½ pound. It doesn't sound like a lot, but this all adds up. You get your gun the way that you're going to carry it, loaded in a holster, you're looking at 2¼ pounds. Now, can you carry that? Yeah. Can you carry it all day in comfort? Yeah, no, it depends on what you're doing. If you got a good gun belt that doesn't flex, if you've got a way to carry it, depends on your car seats. I mean, if I'm going to be driving in the car, I hate carrying this because I drive a Mustang GT Performance Pack. I don't have the Recaro seats, but the bucket seats in there wrap around you to kind of hold you in because they know you're going to be driving it like an idiot through the turns and it's going to want to throw you back and forth. So they want to kind of lock you in. And having this on my side digs right into the seat and into the center console and pushes it into my hip. So I don't wear this if I'm going to be in the car a lot. I have to take it out. So that's like my danger, Will Robinson. And another gun that I've been carrying for a long time has been this guy. This has been a very good compromise. This is the Ruger LCP Max. So this is, I think the 12 round. See, that one is loaded also. So we're going to keep that So that's all right. That's a 10 plus 1. So this is 11 rounds. You can get 12 round mags, I think, for that. So that's 11 rounds of 380. You know, you get decent hollow points. Not the most powerful gun in the world, but it's tiny and it's light. But more and more, I just really like the simplicity of revolvers. So we're at 1.3 ounces. So we're a full pound less. And you think, well, what's a pound make? It makes a big difference when it's on your hip. It also has to do with the size and how far it sticks out from your side, because this is going to want to like leverage and pull on your belt, and you're always having to like pull your pants up more, and it's just, this just kind of sits in nice and tucked in. You almost forget it's there. So that's like a really good size. You take out the weight of that, and you have just the gun itself. You're sitting at just a scooch over 1 pound. So you're at like 16 point something ounces, fully loaded with 11 rounds ready to go. And then you just got the holster. The holster is 2 3/8 ounces, almost 3 ounces. Has night sights, has a decent trigger. Not a whole lot to grab onto, but it is 11 rounds of 380, which is, I'd say it's adequate. And then you've got your revolvers. And my two favorite revolvers to carry, but I'll tell you why. I like this gun for one reason, and then I like the Smith for another. So first of all, let's just get the weights out of the way. Taurus 856 Ultralight is a 6-shot. So we're looking at, let's just put this into ounces, because a lot of people think of ounces instead of pounds. So that was pounds and ounces. Can I just go to ounces? So that's pounds. Well, that's going to be grams. So I guess I can't. So they're unloaded. The revolvers are unloaded. That is 17 5/8 ounces. Now that's got the larger Hogue grip on it, but that doesn't include the ammo. And then we got a Smith J-frame, model 637. And that is exactly at 16 ounces, which I wonder how accurate my scale is, because I thought this was supposed to be a little bit less than that. But at least you can see the delta between them. So for some reason, this is unloaded as well. For some reason, if that is reading high, it's all right. It's around 15. I guess that's about, I'll have to look up the specs, but less concerned about it being exactly accurate. They're all being measured on the same scale, so it's more important to see the relationship to each other. So why carry a revolver? Because you may say, well, wouldn't you rather have the 11 rounds versus the 5 or the 6? Sometimes, I'll be honest, this is going to get relegated to pocket carry. I've got I think it's a DeSantis Nemesis or something like that, and I'll use the smaller that doesn't have the pinky extension. And this is going to, because it's so thin and light, this is going to get just slipped into a pocket. That's what that gun's going to be relegated to. For my EDC, if I'm just going to be out and around town, I'm going riding, I'm not going into an area where I think I'm going to be in danger, but you want something just in case. That's where I tend to gravitate towards these. The versatility of these is, they're just really nice. It's a fairly light revolver. This one is just a wee bit heavier, and that thing times out quick. So you're looking at about 2.5 ounces more than that. Not tremendous. The weight of ammo, what's 6 rounds weigh? A little over 2 ounces. We'll subtract a little bit for that. So that's another 2 ounces. So you're looking at about an 18-ounce gun for that. 18, almost 19 fully loaded. And you're looking at around 17-ish and a half for that. So this does keep the weight down a little bit more. Here's what I like about these. 38 Special Plus P, even out of a smaller revolver, ballistically does tend to do a little bit better as far as expansion and penetration than a 380. It's a heavier bullet. You get these in Plus Ps. Yeah, it's coming out of short barrel. However, these days they do have fast burning powder that's designed to build up the pressure in a shorter amount of time in a short barrel, because your duration of the bullet only being, it's not that long. So they've accounted for that. And 38 Specials Plus P today give you really pretty decent power. It's not 9mm, it's not 10, it's not 45 or 40 or anything else. But up close, here's what I like about these. I find these really easy to shoot. The trigger pull on both are excellent. I like the ability, and even though we've already done safety checks on these, I like the ability that I have gone ahead and painted the front sights, so you get a little bit of a sight picture on both of those. What I like is that if a round doesn't go boom, if you've got a dud, I know I've checked it twice now, but I'm just always paranoid. If you have a dud in hard primer, for whatever reason it doesn't go off, you just pull the trigger again and it chambers a new round. I also like the ability that if you want, you can cock that, and now you can take that more precision shot. If someone comes at you and you're warning them, back off, they don't, and you're like, okay, this is what I have to do. You just pull the trigger. And honestly, at those types of ranges, the sights don't matter much. Red dots don't matter much. Everybody's trying to trick their guns out with all this. To me, it's just extra weight, extra bulk, shit that you don't need. And, if you're doing competition shooting or you're doing target shooting, you're doing hunt, there's lots of places. You want to take a long shot. If you're going to shoot with a 9mm at 50 yards, yeah, the red dot is going to be awesome. But in a self-defense situation, I'm not shooting at someone who's 50 yards away. If I'm that far away, I'm hoofing it. I'm running in the other direction, trying to get the hell out of danger, because I don't know that I could make a self-defense case if somebody's that far away. If they're that far away, they're going to be less of a danger. So I should be just getting the hell out of there. This is for up and close. Most defensive encounters are within 7 yards. It's within the size of like your living room. It's not that far away. And at that range, you're not aiming. You're not taking time to line up the sights. You're not trying to get your red dot in there. You're pulling the gun, you're point shooting, center of mass, and you're taking your 2 shots. And if the target doesn't drop or run away or whatever, then you're going to take a couple more. This to me seems more like a no-brainer. I'll go ahead and unload this one because I'm going to need to play with it just a little bit. All right, so there we got unloaded weapon. There's the bullet. There's the pew-pew. We're going to set the magazine and the bullet over there. Let's get rid of the scale. And so now we have an unloaded, totally clean weapon. So here, if someone gets up on you and you had to shoot, all you have to do to make this gun, see, it's in battery right now. We're unloaded, no magazine, no way for it to make a boom noise. It goes click, that would cycle, chamber a new round, and you go click again, right? Okay. What happens if someone's up on you and they take their hand, or even pushing it against them? If someone's on you and you had to draw from your holster and you push it against their torso. It doesn't take a lot. See that little bit? Just putting a little bit of pressure. That little bit, that 1/8 of an inch of movement puts it what's called out of battery, and that will not fire. So when someone's up that close, all they have to do is grab your gun. like literally, you grab the gun and it's not going off. Additionally, if someone was up close or you were in close to your side, you're shooting from the hip and using your other arm to kind of keep someone away. If this goes off the first time, and as it goes back and comes in and snags some fabric, let's say this is your shirt and it cycles. Let's go ahead and lock this back for a second. So let's just say, it snags some clothing, yours and his. Gun doesn't go boom. You now need that free hand. And if someone's up on you, you're now dicking around trying to get it and clear it and get the stuff out. If the round is in there, try to eject it, get another round. You don't have time to mess around with your damn weapon. If you're using this up close, which you're likely to, if you're having to use it, you're likely to be, statistics say you're going to be up close, you're going to be messing around. You could potentially be messing around. You might get the one shot off, and that might not be enough. And that second shot may jam. You get a piece of cloth, debris, something in there. Something hit it and slowed the slide down, and for whatever reason, that round just didn't seat properly. Now, normally at the range, you just go tap and knock it into battery and shoot. You don't know in a self-defense situation if you will have the ability to, the time, or the mental wherewithal. Your ability to think and reason when you're under duress like that goes right out the window. You got tunnel vision, your perception of time. There's cops that have been seen on video where they had their safety on and the guy's coming at them and beating them and they're going click, 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 and they're looking stupefied. They're dumbfounded. They're like, why isn't my gun going bang? And that's because in that fight or flight moment, most people, even cops, can't, your ability to do logic when you're in fight or flight, your ability to do math and logic and reason your way through things goes right out the freaking window. Your brain doesn't, most people don't have that capacity to sit there and analyze what they're doing and change direction. They're just like, I should be shooting and I'm shooting and it's not going bang and they just keep doing it and it doesn't go bang. And meanwhile, the guy gets their gun away or hits him over the head or, gets away, whatever it is that we're talking about. So that is a real potential issue when you're talking about a semi-auto up close, is that nothing happens. You don't have to push it much. I mean, right there it would fire. Yeah, it's got to move maybe 1/8 of an inch, and that's it. With a revolver, you could push that right up against somebody. There's nothing reciprocating front and back. Now, there's always the chance of snagging. I mean, someone could potentially put their thumb in between that. But your chances are just slimmer. The chances of anything's mechanical, anything can break, anything can malfunction, anything can jam. Any bullet could fail to fire for some reason. It's just a bad primer. They're cranking these things out by the millions. You think every one of them is going to be exactly perfect? It's not like you can test a primer to see if it works. You make them and you assume they'll work. If you test it to see if it goes boom, well, now it's used. It's gone. You got to throw it out. You can't use it. You can't use a primer a second time. So the chances of this or this going wrong are significantly less than this. These are very reliable. Glocks, Glock clones, Berettas, SIGs, everything else are pretty damn reliable these days. But if you were going to have a problem, the law of averages and statistics say it's going to be with something like this. It's going to be the one that has all the moving parts. These things all have to work in unison. There's recoil springs that can snap. There's things that can snag in there. There's a bullet that could jam. Something doesn't go off. You need that second hand to rack the slide and get it out. The magazines themselves can go wonky and a bullet got jammed in there and it didn't feed up for the next one. There's all kinds of things that can go wrong. Could something break in a revolver? Yeah, it's mechanical. Something can always go wrong. But the chances of it going wrong are less. And statistically, it bears that out. If one doesn't go boom, there's a dud. Oh, I forgot to load that one cylinder, that one. We'll pull it and it goes to the next one. I also like the ability to take that precision shot. When you do that single action trigger pull, see how that trigger just shortens? It is just like a mouse button. Barely touch it. That's why I like these. It's also easier to load and unload. When you think of a safety perspective, if I'm pulling out a magazine, you hand someone, how many times have you read people, and you say, well, people shouldn't do that. Yeah, well, people make mistakes. You can tell by looking at a revolver if there's any rounds in there. You can see in the chamber. Now you open it up to double check and make sure, but I can very easily unload it, flip it, boom, it's unloaded. I can very easily render this gun safe just by pushing that in, flipping it open, pushing it in, flipping that open. Here, it's like, well, I got to do that, lock the slide, pull the magazine, or if I drop the magazine first, there could still be a round in the chamber. So I have to do that and eject the round and make sure that there's nothing in there. There's just more going on here. When it comes to EDC, I look for simplicity. I know that no matter how many times I go to the range and no matter, I'm a very good shot. I'm very proficient with weapons. When I go to the range, I'm usually going to be one of the better shots with the handgun. When I go with my friends and stuff, I'm not bragging. I'm not saying I'm John Wick. I'm just saying I have good hand-eye coordination. I've shot a lot of guns over the years, and I've gotten good at it. But I don't know what it's going to be like when I'm in a life-or-death situation if I'm unlucky. I don't know, And so the least number of things I have to worry about, the better. Worrying about, does this gun have a safety? Does this one have, did I remember to chamber it? Or when it was in the nightstand or was it somewhere else, did I only have the loaded mag? And, do I have to think about that? I mentioned the safety. Do I have to worry about, it jamming on something? Or if someone's up on me and I push it and now it's out of battery and nothing works, or it gets a piece of clothing snagged in there because I shot it from the hip because I had to pull and the person was on me and I didn't have time to get it out in front. So I just pulled and from the hip tried to squeeze a round off and it snagged on my own shirt or my jacket or whatever. There's a lot more that can go wrong here. I'll still trust my life to it because I think these things have a place. Now, of course they do. But for me personally, my EDC package more often than not is going to be something like this. The benefit of the Taurus is it's got a little bit of a bigger grip and you get one extra round. You're like, well, what's one more bullet? Well, maybe that bullet makes the difference or not. I don't know. I tend to think that if you're in a life and death situation where you feel you have to defend yourself with a firearm, you're going to pull this out. Someone's going to go, oh shit, he's got a gun. And if that doesn't have them running, the first bang will. Most people are not sticking around to see what happens, you know. Once lethal force is presented, is it 92% of the time, you know, that altercation ends without a shot having to be fired. So I feel like I'm adequately protected. You know, if I was up hunting or something or camping in bear country, would I have this? No, I'm going to bring a 6-inch 44 mag or something like that, right? I'm going to have a much bigger gun. But just walking around town and stuff like that, here's the other thing that helps determine my EDC. These are both comparable guns. This one's a little smaller, and it's a little lighter, and it's got a little better trigger. This one is just a little bit heavier. It's only a little bit bigger, and the trigger's still pretty damn good. But the holsters make a difference to me. The holster on this one is significantly smaller, and the backs are about the same, but for whatever reason, this one just feels more comfortable. This feels more like when I'm carrying this in a little paddle holster. These are my preferred holsters. They're washable, they're sweat-proof, they're waterproof. If you get stuck in the rain, you don't have to worry about the weather getting, you know, the getting rain on the holster and then the leather gets soggy or has to be reformed or it deforms. And none of that. I mean, this is just throw it in the dishwasher if you want. Rinse it off. And the gun just clicks in, you adjust the tension, you slide it on, click it onto your belt, throw your shirt over it, and you kind of forget that it's there. And you adjust the tension so it comes out without coming off your belt. And then usually you just twist it, rotate it, and lift it up out of your pants and just take it off. The 856, in some ways I like it a little bit better, even though it is just a little bit bigger and heavier. The problem is the holsters just... it kind of moves around. It just doesn't feel as good as that. And that's because this holster is made for an SP-101. It's the closest I could find. Even though the 856 has been out for a couple of years now, there's just not as many holster options for them. So for my EDC, more often than not, if I'm just walking around town, that's what I'm carrying. 5 shots of that with another 6 of plus Ps sitting in my pocket. These are nice because you can load them 2 at a time. You can put 2 rounds in and snap it off, rotate it, do the next 2 rounds. And you can't do it. It's not like changing a magazine, but I can carry 11 rounds of 38 Special plus P in relative comfort. I got my little blade, and I'm kind of good to go. If I'm going somewhere where I had to be really discreet and I have a shirt that's tucked in and I can't get away with a belt holster, then I'm going to carry this little guy in a pocket holster. If I'm going down to Atlanta or somewhere where I'm like, ugh, bad stuff going on right now downtown, then we're going to carry something bigger like this. Or I'll carry my 357 mag, the Chiappa Rhino. So the short answer is there's no best gun for anybody. You shoot what you're comfortable with. You shoot what works for you. You shoot what works with how you're dressed, and that's going to change. So there is no, even for you, it's like my best EDC is not going to match yours. And even for me, I might have 2, 3, 4 different EDCs depending on what I'm doing that day, where I'm going, what I think my chances of an encounter are, and how I'm dressed. Those are all going to limit. If I'm normally carrying a 1911, that's not going to work if I have to be in an office environment where I've got a shirt tucked in. I'm going to have to go to a small ankle carry or pocket carry. Those are my options. And you could say, well, no, you got to drop to a smaller, less effective pistol. Yeah, but it's still better than nothing. It's better than, if I have to go there, it's better than not having anything at all. So I love Smith J-frames. Something about the size, something about just how well they shoot. They're ultra reliable. They're very well made. They're just fantastic little guns. And 38 Special, that is not a measly little bullet hitting you. That is not anything you're going to just shrug off. So anyway, hope that helps some people maybe make some decisions on your own. That's what works for me. Small revolvers, guns like this. Maybe I'll carry a Glock 43X. You got to find what works for you, and you got to have multiple guns for multiple situations. There is no one size fits all. A shoe that's really good for running isn't going to be a good business shoe. wasn't going to be a good shoe for hiking, you know what I mean? Or slugging through the snow. You got to have different things for different applications. And your EDC regimen needs to be the same way. You're going to need to have different ones in your rotation to account for those variables. Anyway, hope you enjoyed.